Right, as some of you may know, or may not, I got myself a cheap pinpointer, a GP pointer. One of them, I got mine for 10 quid. They range like 12, 14. But someone pointed out in watching one of my videos that I could improve the pinpointing ability of the pinpointer. I didn't even know. I just thought because you paid so little for it, that's the way it behaved, and you got what you paid for. But apparently, there's a bit of a hack. Now what you can do, get yourself a torch. And if you shine the torch through the end, if you can see light coming through the plastic, I don't know, about inch, 3/4 of an inch, that means that the sensor inside hasn't been pushed right to the tip. And obviously if the sensor isn't right at the tip, you're going to lose 3/4 of an inch, half inch, when you're trying to pinpoint your object. And I thought, you know what, I'll have a look. Didn't know. So I shone my torch through this, and yes, the sensor hadn't been pushed to the very end. I mean, there's not a lot in these. I had a quick look on YouTube and I thought, you know what, as I've covered the pointer already in a video and I'm using it, I may as well do the hack. Yeah. Now I already had a quick look in mine. I already took it apart, and yeah, turns out originally it needed a screwdriver, a Phillips, only a small one because there's a very small screw in the top. I've got a very small, like a watch screwdriver, or one pair of pliers to pull the innards out, and then something to push the sensor back down with. I've got a kebab skewer. As long as it reaches inside, you're golden. I mean, you could use a long screwdriver. Now, I withdrew mine, and because, yes, they are only 10 to 15 pound, one of the wires snapped and the switch exploded. So a 5-minute job has now turned into getting out soldering iron, solder, flux, rebuilding the switch, which is the bit that took a long time. I will do a slightly more in-depth hack, obviously warning you of what can happen, because if you don't have these tools, you've just busted your pointer. And although it's not a lot to replace, it's a pain, you know, you've lost your pointer. I managed to rebuild the switch. I am not taking it apart to show you how, because it's horrible. I'll just try and show you how to avoid having the switch come off. It may not be the same for every cheap pointer, but these innards are on one of these GB pointers. So what I'll do, I'll flip you around, I'll show you the circuit board and the sensor working, we'll offer it up to the casing, I will put it back together, and bear in mind I put this back together twice now, and both times the wire connecting the circuit board to the sensor has snapped, because it is so brittle. So if you are taking it apart, I am not held responsible for wire snapping and switches exploding, because yeah, you get what you pay for. But we're hoping we can make that experience a little bit better. Right, I'm going to turn you around, we'll have a quick look at it, I'll show you how it's assembled, I'll hopefully get it back together and show you it working after assembly. Unfortunately I can't do it before, because I already took it apart just to, you know, give myself a heads up, and then it all went wrong. Right, we'll have a look close up. Well, I'm hoping the lighting is good enough. I've changed cameras. Right, so here's your pointer. Here is the empty casing. Just inside the empty casing at the top there, don't know if you can see, a little round thing, that's where the screw goes that holds it all together. Now, here is the switch. Now when you withdraw the circuit board, if you don't take out on, so this is just personal experience, if you don't take this out, that switch gets caught on the inside of the button or on the inside of the casing. I'll show you when I put it back together. So when you withdraw it, it actually just pulls it all off, and you've got two parts to the switch there, a very, very small spring, which luckily was still inside, and then another catch that gives you the click. And it's finding that little tiny piece of metal that worried me, but it was in there, it was stuck inside in the sensor. So yeah, be very careful of that switch if it looks the same. It has a tendency to come apart. Right here, I have resoldered twice now this cable back onto the board. I would imagine this one is just as easy to break. That copper wire is so flimsy, so I'm just warning you, by all means do the hack. Yeah, if you do break it and you can't repair it, yes, it is only 10-15 quid, but you know, that's not the point of it. We're trying to save a bit of money here. So here it is lined up with the casing. Now that should go inside, and then it will squish up a little bit, but you want your sensor obviously touching the bottom here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and put it back together, and I will show you. These cables are going to squash up a little bit inside, and that's when you run the risk of it coming off the circuit board. And you've got to line up obviously LED and your switch in the right place. Right, third time's a charm. Okay, if you have to take it apart fully, like I have just put this back together yet again, because it fell apart as I was trying to put that back in. So I've super glued the casing back on the switch. The switch now works. That's the resolder. That is a pain. I'm just going to test it. If I can test it one-handed. Yep, there we go. It does come on before I put it back together. Hopefully, next time you see it, it will all be together. Right, I feel like I'm messing about. I thought I'd show you warts and all, because sometimes things do not go to plan. Yes, it appears to be back together. Now, I am going to silicone the button. I'm probably going to silicone over that LED, because I never really use the LED, so if I can't see it, it doesn't matter. And it will at least make it waterproof up to the speaker. I think if you bung that up, well, you won't hear it. But it does have the offset motor inside to give you the vibration. So if you want to waterproof it, do that at the same time. That's an additional plus to taking it apart. It doesn't have a rubber seal around the end, which you could silicone that, but you can't change the battery. Let's have a go. Let's see if it works. It does come back on. That's a silver sixpence. No, that is better. That is better. And obviously the closer you get different stages of beeping. So yeah, that's an inch away. So there you go. One life hack for the GP pointer. Do I advise you doing it? I do if it works. Simply. If things start going wrong, then that's the risk you take of taking your pointer apart. Hope you found it helpful. Essentially, all you need is something to push that sensor down with inside, and one screwdriver. One Phillips screwdriver. That's all you need to do this little job. If it goes wrong, you'll need a soldering iron, maybe some super glue. If you can't get the end of the battery compartment out, you will need some long nose pliers. Sometimes that will just slide out, other times it might need a little bit of assistance. So there's your 3 tools you need. Right, I will see you all on the next video.